The first day I took him and left him there, he was on the steps when I left. No experience whatsoever. I put him in an area where there were no jobs, violence, every broken dream you could think of. As I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw him standing there waving at me, I thought to myself, what have I done? I've set this young man up for failure. There's no way that he can succeed in that environment. And I pulled the car over and I wept. And I thought, what have I done to Matthew?
Violent crime is spiking on the streets of LA.
The heart of gang territory.
The department estimates the existence of between
The fire department
500 street
keeping their
gangs in the
distance
city
to
of
that.
Los Angeles.
And it was only about 2 hours since I left him and got home that I got a phone call. It was Matthew. He said, Dad, no sooner than you left that place than I heard gunshots. I ran to those steps, and there was about a 13-year-old boy sliding down the steps, blood pouring out of his chest. And he died in my arms. He went across the street, knocked on the door. The little mother came and looked at him, and he said, I'm the pastor across the street.
The mother was crying, and gang members were trying to comfort her, and I just said, we love you, we're gonna pray for you, we're gonna be here for you. And she just cried and hugged me, and before I left, they asked me if I could pray for them.
And he prayed, God, I pray that you will stop the violence in this city. And suddenly, these guys began to grip his hands.
And I prayed and asked them if they wanted to receive Christ, and they started raising my hands along with me, and suddenly it's like, hey, you put yourself in our world. And that's where we begin to gain the respect. And that's kind of been the whole thing of the Dream Center. You know, we spend our life putting ourselves in someone else's world.
You talk about fired up now. He left out of that place and went across the street.
I'm like, how am I gonna reach this neighborhood? And God just spoke to my heart. He said, put your desk on the sidewalk, buy a jar of candy or whatever you could find, and have your little desk and phone out there. And then when the people walk by every day, you just start building relationships and talking and giving away what you have, and not saying, oh, it's so little, why even get started with it? It's like, no, if you can buy candy, do it. If you could buy groceries, do it. When you spend your life looking outward like that, it really does more than just allow you to have really good, warm experiences. It shapes your vision.
Matthew had a dream.
Can you imagine having a hospital that would never close? That would be open to anybody that was in need? I said, Dad, we're gonna build 24-hour churches, can be open all hours of the day. People are gonna come in and get food, clothing, housing, and all that. He talked to all his buddies and said, I need 20,000 from you, I need 50,000 from you. We're gonna buy that old hospital and we're gonna turn it into a 24/7 ministry. It was the greatest risk of our lives, risking everything, if we didn't come up with the money to buy this building in 1996. The hospital was empty. Hollywood had filmed movies for years in here. I'm at the scariest place at the Dream Center. These hallways here were filmed for horror films like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. Every single floor was flooded with trash and garbage. One by one, we just started taking on rooms and just opening them up for people, and then a floor, and then we had enough faith to take on another floor, and then eventually here we are today, 30 years later, just doing the same thing every day.
We're one of the nation's largest recovery and homeless charities, and the 24/7 church that never sleeps.
I can't do things like they do here so well.
A center to help young people prepare to live on their own.
Biggest dream I've ever had.
Never in my life growing up did I ever say that I wanted to be in the ministry, or did I ever think it was possible. I didn't know God could use me in that way. And that's when I started reading in the New Testament just about loving people. And I said, hey, you know, I can do that.
One of the highest impact, low-cost outreaches that we have is our mobile food banks. In Los Angeles, especially now, there are so many who are food insecure. You know, we have the connections to bring in more food and to get it out, or we just need more trucks and more staff to facilitate those needs.
You know, one of the things you're talking about, Build for More, is you really want to get beyond ministering to people's need, and you want to get to their potential. Education is so important at the Dream Center. People coming in, they're 35 years of age, never got their GED. We help them get that. We really build people up from that layer of basic needs all the way through a full development.
One of the other programs that we can easily expand because we're built for more is our family floor program. Could you imagine being a mom or a dad, loving your children, doing your personal best, but still not able to provide a roof over their head? I can't even imagine the agony of that. So we have over 200 families on a waiting list. Some families need just about 3 months to get back on their feet, but other families need about 2-3 years because we're not looking to be just a Band-Aid on these issues. We want to fix the cycle of poverty in their lives and for their children as well.
There's 2 families in the food line that are looking for housing if we can just find a way to take them in. If you're in a slump, if you don't think you can keep going, it's almost unfair to walk through the campus in a sense of motivation because you see people clean for the first time in their life. You see 4 generations bring their people into the program and they all succeed. We saw one period of time, over 3 years, crime dropped 73%.
The police accredited us because we had changed the environment. Not just picking up the trash and painting out the graffiti, but meeting the needs of the families, knocking on the doors, bringing relief to see that people do care and we have avenues to help you.
People's dreams can become a reality. And we don't just say that like some fancy little marketing slogan. We have the power and the resources to walk people through every layer of life.
We had a dream for people who didn't know how to dream for themselves. That's actually how the Dream Center got its name. As guys were graduating our first-year recovery program, they said, you should call it the Dream Center because I'm dreaming again.
I can't imagine my life without doing the work here at the Dream Center. I can't imagine not getting up every day and walking through the front door and seeing families that are so happy because they're getting ready to come in and have a place to live, and the children walking through the halls, jumping on their new bed that they have in a place called home. To see the guy in recovery that walks up to me and he says, hey, Pastor, I've been clean for 10 days, and it's a big deal to him. It's a big deal to all of us, and I don't know anything else but this. I can't even visualize what life would be like without doing the work here at the Dream Center. Even oftentimes the church is like, we need to leave these places where there's problems. No. When people are in greater need, that's when you stay. When there's more violence, that's when you stay. When there's more fatherless children, that's when you stay. That's why we're here. When everything has fallen apart, the greatest testimony of God is that the things of God stayed in that community.
The Dream Center is needed more now than ever. We transform lives, pennies on the dollar compared to the government. Our programs work, and you speak life into people, give them a reason to believe again that they can have a life worth living. It works. In 2024, they're expecting 84,000 homeless to be living on the streets of Los Angeles. The city is talking about cleaning up the homelessness before the 2028 Olympics, but you know they're expecting 100,000 homeless to be living in Los Angeles in 2028. Could you imagine if we had more than enough to accomplish what we're doing already now with our location? But what if we could dream big enough to have another location? There's another hospital just a mile away from the Dream Center that's vacant. Could you imagine if we had enough donors to back us up to start another Dream Center? And how about one in Long Beach and one in Santa Monica and one down in Orange County? Our programs work. We've learned from the last 30 years what works, what's needed. Help us make this dream come true because the need is so great.
We were born for this moment. In 3 decades, you see a lot of things come and go, but God has really put us here for the long term to make a difference, and I can't even imagine what life would be like without the Dream Center.